Hello, everybody. Hey now, and welcome to the trifecta episode of Hoopin with Christy and Debbie. I am Christy Winter Scott, joined as always by my dear friend in hoops, Debbie Antonelli. What has been happening in your world? I know it's always moving and shaking. What have you
Woo!
up to?
Christy, it's such a great week. I had girls only, boys only sports camp, which I call Build, Serve, Empower. It was incredible, 150 kids. It was amazing. We did about 22 different activities in sport, and it was really fun. I'm repping the Antonelli cheese shop today.
Oh, let's go.
When they used to run those American Express commercials, I can't tell you how many people would ask me about it. Finally, one of my friends was kind enough to send me a shirt. And then I'm giving a big shout out this morning to Reagan Peebley, the GM of the LA Sparks, for flying Kurt Miller's son in for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, belated to all the dads out there.
Oh, well, that was so sweet.
So they went to the Waffle House. They went to the Waffle House
for Father's Day. Reagan Peebley, first of all, one of my favorite people in hoops as well. General manager, as you said, of the LA Sparks. That is phenomenal. I love the family feel of that. How cute. But Waffle House, let's go Waffle House.
Let's get somebody to send out a little something to the cheese shop and to the Waffle House. See if maybe, I've tried several times to get the Waffle House food truck to my house because there is such a thing. I haven't figured out the right event yet, but I will.
That's any day. Like Monday is a good thing. Waffle House food truck out front.
I'm in the club. Are you in the club, Christy?
I am not in the club.
No, I'm going to send next time I get something from the club. I'm going to send it to you. Okay. You need to hook up with the club.
I love a good Waffle House French toast for the win. Hey, and look, everyone watches women's sports. I've been wearing this every day. I mean, not every day, but every pod. I've been wearing. It's the third pod episode, so I put it on again. So super, and y'all with the Together X, maybe we can hook up something with our little pod here too. So, but so much stuff going on. Oh my gosh, such great hoops since we last spoke, and I am just enamored by the energy in the buildings across the league. And yes, Caitlin Clark has created this groundswell, and all the rookies. Cam Brink had a monster day the other day, and Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark matched up against one another. I mean, there's just been so many exciting moments. But of those, what stood out to you in the last 7 days?
I think the big news around the league is obviously the arenas are full. That's incredible. And yes, the Indiana Fever are helping drive the attendance all around the building. I heard Kelsey Mitchell say, I'm blaming it on Caitlin, and she was being facetious and funny about it. It was really a nice play by a veteran on a rookie to acknowledge that, Caitlin is responsible for some of it. She's not solely responsible for it, but Clarkonomics is real and tangible. And if you're around it, you know what I'm talking about. I'd like to know what the licensing and the royalty fees are for all the Indiana Fever jerseys and the Caitlin Clark and the Aaliyah Boston jerseys, because I've seen a bunch of them. And I think I'm going to break out my Kelsey Mitchell Ohio State jersey and wear it to the next shoot around, just because I want to give Kelsey some love. I mean, she's been playing so well, but since we pod last time, Washington's won 2 games. Indiana has moved themselves into the playoffs. We have the Commissioner's Cup coming up, Minnesota and New York. I think we've had some really great stuff. And then, of course, the Indiana-Chicago game yesterday on CBS. Unfortunately, only people are showing one highlight. I wish they wouldn't. The game was so competitive and close. I don't think the game was more than three or four possessions, and certainly not in the second half. And, Angel's averaging a double-double, 12 and 10. Caitlin's at 16, 5 and 6. Yeah. I mean, this is really – I keep saying it because Lindsay Snell gave me the numbers. 144 players, and 95 of them have been either honorable mention, first, second, or third team All-Americans in college.
Wow.
So if you take the international players out that came from – I have to do that number over because the league is talented. There's plenty of talent. There's a lot of good players, and I'm here to enjoy all of it and to celebrate it every game that I get to call.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, my gosh, that game it felt like a playoff game. I don't care if we're sitting here in
Yeah.
June. That felt like, a closeout playoff game, game 3 or something for WNBA. I don't know. For me, like you said, the highlight, or I don't know, the replay of the foul that was upgraded to a flagrant one on Angel Reese was discussed. But just let's back up a little bit on that. But Caitlin Clark made some comments prior to this game. She was being asked about all the different things and narratives that have been said about her. And initially she said, I'm just here to play basketball. And God bless her, because that's what she is there to do. Like, she wants to hoop and that's it, right? But she knows that the stage is created for mentorship as well. And what she says off the court, all of that adds up and it matters. So she came back and said, people are going to say what they're going to say. But for me, I know who I am for this game. I know who I am for this team and organization. And I'm going to stand true in that and just try to, keep plugging along. So what was your take on her being asked those questions, number one? And then what was your take on her answers?
So there's no blur, right? We're not over here in women's basketball anymore. We are all encompassing everywhere. So some people could say, be careful what you wish for, right? We've always wanted the game to grow to this point. So when that happens, you do have new media, new people coming in. And in some ways, that is great, because I have always said it's a net positive anytime the W is being talked about or women's college sports being talked about. That's why it's so imperative to remember where we were and where we came from, because that way you know what we're building on.
Thank you.
So, okay, build, serve, empower. It's all my thing, Christy, right?
Yes.
So no one should be using Caitlin or Angel as a political pawn in any agenda that has nothing to do with basketball, to me, that is from the outside. Now, and I mean, like some politician going off about or writing a letter about the physicality of the league. It's just ridiculous. Like, I can't even imagine how much publicity or how much attention these people must need to be able to use that. I just don't like it. There is a strategy there to it. I just don't like the strategy. I think Caitlin is there. Basketball is her job. I do think she has ultimate respect for the league when she came to say, hey, I grew up idolizing this league. Maya Moore's my idol. That's who I wanted to be. I remember being that little girl. So she totally gets it. At the same time, this week, she was involved in a Habitat for Humanity situation where she helped this family, that a dad who is a single dad with 3 kids, with a house that they're eventually, they're putting pieces of the house together the way I understood it. The house is eventually going to be moved to be set up somewhere where the family can thrive. Look, I love that stuff. I love those stories. I wish those stories were more prominent. Caitlin does get those stories out, but there are a lot of other players that are doing the same or similar. When I talked to Tina Charles before the game the other night, I said, are you still doing the defibrillators? She's been doing defibrillators in schools for about 15 years. Maybe 12, but it's a lot in a long time. And I think those are the things we ought to be sharing. So I actually thought Caitlin handled it the way Caitlin would handle it. And she came back with how much respect she has. And she respects all the women in this league. And so do I.
Absolutely. And Hopi's Heart is Tina Charles' initiative from her having heart issues. And then she created that. So there are so many stories and things that we need to get to learn about our players in the league. And I don't like the divisiveness. I just think that, everyone's like, oh, they're creating this, villain versus non-villain narrative. And I'm like, okay, but I mean, I don't know if we need that.
Do we always have to have that? Like, through sport, people go Bird Magic, they go Pat Gino. I think Angel's done an excellent job with her platform. She knows who she is. She's got the Barbie shoes, and she plays tough and competitively. Look, she's a hard-nosed player. She is scrappy around the glass. No one's ever made any excuse for that in college. That's the way she's played. Eventually, her skill set will move away from the bucket. But right now, she's averaging a double-double, being able to offensive rebound, the best offensive rebound in the league. Okay, One play, they handled it on the floor. It was the right call. Move on. We've had other flagrant ones this year. That's not the only one. Let's just move on and play hoops.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I mean, they were just in here. Chicago was just here in DC. And man, just seeing her play up close at this level. I saw her in college, saw her collegiately, but I just think, wow, she's smart with how she uses her physical play, right? She knows that you're out of position and she goes right into you and finishes. And if she doesn't finish, she's going to get it back or again and again until she gets it in the basket. So to lead the league in offensive boards, I believe it's 4 offensive rebounds per game.
Go back to when she was at Maryland, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she wanted to move her game away from the bucket, but she was so effective around the rim. Why would you move her, right? And then she goes to LSU. She's so quick. Yeah. Once she gets that face up consistently, I know she's working on it. Come on now. If she can go off the bounce, she should be able to go off the bounce like Kennedy Carter or like Kalia Copper, like Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, those guys, hard to keep them in front.
Yeah, you can't. And she's very impressive in that way. And her motor is insane on the glass. I mean, just in the Indiana game yesterday, I mean, she was just so quick off the floor before anyone even thought to jump. She had the ball. Like, that's how fast her reactions are around the rim. So yeah, definitely a bonus and upside. I mean, I think all the rookies, I mean, Cam Brink had an amazing game as well in the same way, right? Yeah. Just quick thinking and just the reactions are really spot on. And it's really fun to watch. I was super impressed and just had a time yesterday watching all the games. But I guess with where the game is going with regards to the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, like you said, Bird Magic, Pat Gino, like you said, we don't necessarily need that scenario, but it's being built. So what do we do?
Yeah. Because it's fine. I mean, I have no problem with it at all. I think it's fine. I think both of them, play their role very well in that. If that's the way they, it's going to be, I have no problem with it at all. I like, net positive. I like a net positive for the league. So all these new people coming in, we just have to make sure we manage ourselves the right way. There's a lot of new media. You got to answer the questions. They come into your building, they're accredited media. You should answer the questions. I think that's part of your responsibility in growing the game. You can't get upset because somebody asks you a question you don't like. When I do my media training, I tell them to figure out a way to change the narrative. If you don't like the question, answer it in a way you would like to tell the story. Exactly. You don't have to answer specifically what they asked you. Change it around to fit the narrative that you want to sell.
There you go. No, that's major. That's major because there's an explosion. I mean, like we said in DC when Indiana came in, I'm telling you, there's about 50 to 80, media members sitting in there. So yeah, it's different. And the questions are different. The questions aren't really tactically focused. They're grandiose, so for me, that's very intriguing as well. The questions aren't about, okay, on that pick and roll set, on that chin action, you guys were doing that. It's not. Yeah. The questions are different. So you got to be ready for that for sure.
The platforms of the players they just have more opportunity to share what they like. Okay. For example, my platform is, I have a lot of things on my platform, but the most important one for me right now is Special Olympics and 24 hours, nothing but net. I don't go on the air and talk about people with intellectual disability or my son with Down syndrome. I don't do that unless it comes up and somebody brings it up, but I don't go on the air and talk about it. Of course, I'd love to use my platform on the air to talk about it, to reach more people. However, the product is the narrative.
Yes.
I'm sticking to the product because the product is so good. Yeah. So if we have somebody that brings somebody new because they have a social justice issue or a platform or something they want to discuss, I'm good with that. I love it because that brings us all a little closer to understanding how competitive and how hard it is to do what these women do and why they should help all of them to collectively grow the base of the game. When you do something that's good for the WNBA, it's good for me.
And me. Okay. So with that being said, Indiana, like you said, has made a push to be in playoff contention. What has changed for them to get their history gaining some traction and momentum here?
I think it's in the detail, Christy. I think it's making shots, doing screening better, sprinting the floor a little bit harder. I think that's why. Defensively, there are some issues, but I think the scheming part of it is in place. It's just a matter of the players are really good. Like, you can't stop everyone. It's too hard. It's too hard to keep, like we said, even Enrique, or, I mean, go down the list. Ryan Howard. How do you guard Ryan Howard? Look at Taurasi, what she's doing inside that system at Phoenix. I mean, go on and on. I'm a big fan of Benijah Laney Hamilton. I love her. I bring her up, I think, every podcast. Maybe we should get her to sponsor the podcast.
We should.
We should get her to sponsor us. Then we could be the Benijah Laney podcast. I'm just so grateful. I always say the same thing. I'm just grateful. They work so hard. I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying it immensely, and I'm following some of the banner, and I'm staying on the outside of all of it and keeping my focus on the product.
Right.
And the reason why Indiana's better is because their product has gotten better. Aaliyah Boston is running the floor, the timing, the spacing, the drags, where they come from. All those things are better. Yeah. Caitlin is not turning the ball over as much. She's getting better at handling. The last couple of games they've played, she has not been blitzed as much. Maybe late in the shot clock a blitz, but she's handling all that better. She's stretching. They're just the detail. I was all over them on screening in the Atlanta game, and there was a series on the air where Aaliyah Boston set a screen and gave way to the contact, so she never took the defender out. Then there was a time where she set a great screen, and whoever was using it didn't take her defender below the level of the screen. Then there was a time where she took the defender out and rolled to the rim for a post-up and scored. So it was 3 different things involving Aaliyah and 3 different types of actions that, because she screened so well, she was able to get the ball. And everybody knows, I'm big on the screen assist. I love the screen assist. But you don't see Caitlin coming off the screen like in college, coming off the drag or the middle third and coming off the screen and shooting it, because the way they're guarding her. But now the way Aaliyah Boston is playing, and plus you play her in drop coverage, she's going to make you pay in the short roll. She's gotten so much better at it.
Oh, every single time that short rolls, they exploited that so well against Chicago. I thought too a couple times, but I thought with Caitlin Clark, there was a time late in the shot clock, like you said, she was blitzed or like semi-blitzed. It was just enough, right? It was a third half defender coming her way, but she dissected it so well and just surgically placed a pass to Boston on a roll right to the rack. And it was so pretty. I was screaming. I was like, that was so pretty. Like, it was just beautiful basketball. And I just think when they get more and more reps like that, it's just going to become even better as the season.
Yeah.
And that too is going to help.
That roll replace action with Katie Lou in the slot. She's knocking down triples. Kelsey Mitchell off the bounce. You can isolate her anywhere. She'll clear somebody out and go one-on-one and score. Yeah. She's getting better at finishing at the rim. She told me she needed to keep her eyes up, up and not on the contact. Right. I just think they're coming together, and they've won 2 in a row now at the taping of this podcast. So they've got 5 wins, and right now they're sitting at number 8. So let's see.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible, in the words of Kevin Garnett. I didn't even know I was going to say that, but hey, KG. Anyway, but with the Mystics too, like they've been, injured, really slow start out of the gates in terms of wins. 9 of their first 12 games were only lost by single digits, late game situations where they just couldn't get over the hump. But then they've won 2 in a row now, even with being injured. Now, Brittany Sykes came back against Atlanta. She had 18 points, Deb, in 14 minutes of play. She was cracking threes. I think she had 4 threes.
Oh.
But she changed the game when she came back, and then she couldn't play in the subsequent game against Chicago because she had a foot injury. So she's out again, but even without Sykes back on the floor, and Shakira Austin remained out for those 2 games, those 2 wins. But what has it been for the Mystics as of late with their 2 victories?
Well, I think you just said it there. They have not been healthy. They've been in games and they haven't been able to close it. Well, two of their closers have been out, Sykes and Austin. And when you lose players like that are so important to your success, it makes everybody have to slide their role over a little bit, right? So maybe play a little out of position, or they'll be better when they get healthy because of that. It's like Indiana's schedule. They're going to be better because of the schedule they played. Yeah. And I think they're going to be fine. They're at the bottom right now, but Dallas is down there fighting. They're trying to figure it out, and it's going to be tough. Atlanta, it's just the league is just really good. And when we expand, it's going to be even better.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think, for Washington, they just have to get healthy.
It's just hard to win. It's hard to win.
It is. It is. That's why it makes it so much more impressive, I think, shorthanded to get out there and rap and get the dub.
We were talking detail, like you just can't have game slippage at the end of the game, because that's the difference, right? The things we're talking about, all the detail, the execution, and no game slippage. You can't turn it over. You got to set things on the right angle. You just got to execute, just because whoever executes the best in those situations wins. Your play calling has to be spot on. You got to save a few things for the fourth quarter. Just things that, we know as coaches that you have to do well at the end of the game.
Absolutely. And when you have Olympic level players and all-stars, which is coming up real quickly here in the WNBA, you still have to, manage those players, and you still have to execute. But with the All-Star game coming up, I know we're getting close to closing time here on this episode, but we've got to dive in who we think could be an all-star this year. And there's been a lot of things going on. Enrique Gumbawale saying that she took her name out of the pool. Yeah. I found intriguing. Let's start there with it and then go. But what do you think about Enrique taking her out of the list of selection?
I think it was a smart move by her, because she knows there is marketing and politics involved, and there are players that have been ahead of her in the USA basketball training. So I think it's a good move. As far as the All-Star game goes, I love the All-Star game in the Olympic year, because it's the Olympic team against those that didn't make it. So those that didn't make it are going to come competitively, right? Trying to prove. I don't think it'll be just, I don't see this game being 160 to 150. Right. I do think they'll compete a little bit, at least, in an all-star game setting. But I do think there's going to be some on the other side that are going to want to play. Right. I think it's going to be interesting to see who those others are. Those that didn't make it, that were in the pool, are probably going to be the all-star team, plus a few others. But I think it'll be fun. You know what? Hey, Caitlin and Angel are going to be on the all-star team. I can't imagine them not being on it. And how much fun are they going to have in the locker room? And, let's see what comes out of it after that. Because I just say this, I worked at Ohio State for the longest time, and Michigan is our rival. Right. And there were times where I would call the director of marketing at Michigan and say, hey, let's figure out something to do together, because I think there's got to be something we could do. Right. Because the fan bases are such rivals, and there's such a hatred there. What if we combine something? Let's figure it out. We never could come up with the right thing, but this was back in the mid-'90s. Right. But if you came up with the right thing, who knows? I don't know. I'm just planting the seed out there. Caitlin and Angel, maybe they'll come up with something coming out of the All-Star game.
And that would be great, because, the last time around, the WNBA All-Stars upset USA basketball.
That's right.
So,
could be fun.
Iron sharpens iron, and we get that. We're just putting that out there too. But I think when you're looking at the All-Star game coming up in an Olympic year, there's so many different storylines. But to take her name off the list for the team USA, I thought was very intriguing, to say the least. So with that being said, and to your point, what do you think the All-Star team will look like? Do you have some selections, like front court selections first?
Well, now I haven't thought about it to that point. I know All-Star voting is out there, and I personally have never voted. I don't even have a vote. All the years I've been in the WNBA since the beginning. I have no votes for anything. Don't vote for Player of the Year. I don't know why I don't get to vote, but I don't. I've never been able to vote. So
not right. We got to make some calls, Debbie.
Well,
make a call.
I put my own teams together. Like I like the all toughness team and the all screen team, and those are the things that I like to do. I don't need to be a part. I'm one vote, but apparently maybe one vote would have mattered last year based on the way the MVP went. So I think if you start at the top with Connecticut, how many All-Stars do they have? Right, DeWanna Bonner is going to be on the team, right?
We're outside the Olympic team, so we're taking the Olympic players out of the selection here. So.
Yeah, the Olympic players are over here. Alyssa Thomas is,
she's
love Alyssa Thomas, right? Love her, love. Got to talk to her too. I love talking to the players before the game. Then with New York, Stewie's over here, Jonquel, Sabrina's over here. Benija Laney, I think she's an all-star, right? We could keep going right down the list, but when you get towards the teams that are at the bottom, for Dallas, obviously Enrique. For Indiana, I think Caitlin and Boston, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. I think for Chicago, I definitely think Angel. I don't think they've been healthy enough at the other spots. Am I missing someone? I don't know if Kennedy Carter will make it or not. That'll be really interesting to see if she's an all-star.
She can boogie. She can score.
Trying to keep her in front is
best. That step is like she's out. Like, good luck if you're not in a stance, because she's gonna get that hip.
And I thought Coach Spoon ran some really good stuff for her in the game to get her open against Indiana.
Yeah.
And then let's see, what do we got? Phoenix.
Phoenix and LA, Seattle.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely think Skylar. I think she's played really well.
She really has.
Mag Bagor is on the Australian Olympic team.
Right.
NECA would be on the All-Star team.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like, it's going to be challenging for the fans. There is a popularity contest to it, no question. When you get to LA, Cameron, you think you could have all the rookies against.
Oh,
that'd be a good storyline, right?
That's the thing. Oh, let's do all the rookies. Or if all the rookies are on the All-Star team, like, have a segment where all the rookies are on the floor.
Yeah.
Playing against the USA team. Wow. Oh, Debbie, that's good. I like that.
I hope some really good stuff. Really good stuff there. So there's a lot. What do they take? 12 All-Stars?
12.
Yeah, it's you want every team to be represented, but some teams might not be.
No, that's so tough.
Right?
It's so much for 3. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. Be really good. Really fun for the fans. Really fun conversation. And that's where the new media comes in. They're going to have a lot of conversation about the All-Star game. This is going to be great.
Yes, I love it. And it's coming up. It's going to be in Phoenix in July. And I think it's going to be so much fun. And then right after that, it's kind of an appetizer for the Paris Games, right? For the Olympic Games. So it'll be really fun to get eyes on the USA team as they're trying to gel and come together after playing on all these different teams in the WNBA for the last month or so prior to the Olympic training. But I think it's going to be really a fun ride.
Congratulations to our buddy LaChina Robinson, who will be bringing us the call from NBC and basketball. Give LaChina some love.
Absolutely. She and Dwayne Wade are going to be on the call over there, and it's going to be so exciting. I'm thrilled for her, DMVer. Just known her for a long time and just proud of her. Oh, LaChina Robinson, do your thing, baby. We love you. A lot of love.
Yes, love.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
I don't have that. Yeah, you're throwing the love. That's nice.
What happened? I don't know how I did that, but I love it. But I guess we got to get up out of here, Deb. But what a great conversation, as always. Always on point. Always ready to talk hoops. And what's that shirt again?
Antonelli Cheese Shop. The Antonelli Cheese Shop. Let's see. Right there in Austin, Texas.
I love it. And wait, what's the Waffle House thing? Where's the
Oh, yeah. Shout out Reagan Peebley sending Kurt Miller's son to the game for Father's Day, and Kurt taking him to the Waffle House.
Yeah, I love it. And guess what? Wait a minute, my hair out the way. Everyone watches women's sports.
Looking good, lady. Looking good.
All day, every day. We're going to bring it right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network next time on Hoopin with Christy and Debbie. For now, get back to watching women's hoops. WNBA is in full effect. Make sure you are on board for it all. We'll bring you more action and chop it up again next week. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.